Hi everyone, welcome back. So this is a continuation of the architecture series. Today I'm going to be talking about medallion architecture and something I think people need to be aware of. So for anyone that doesn't know medallion architecture, a really high level view is as you can see, bronze, silver, gold. So this was architecture sort of proposed by Databricks, and it's really to do with sort of layering for the whole process of curation and then sort of usage of data. So there are lots of views about medallion architecture, whether it's right, whether it's wrong, whether there should be more layers, more metals. But I mean, essentially, just at a really high level, like I say, bronze represents the sort of raw data. Silver is more of a sort of model. So it's where you've modeled your entities, the data's been improved, you know, you've done any sort of quality checks and you've actually gone out and enriched the data if you need to. And this is very sort of third normal form. So and then gold is essentially what you'd see much more within sort of MI or within data warehouse sort of reporting. It's much more in fact and dimension. It's models, analytical models for business users to consume. And whereas you can imagine with regards to this model, you may have one of them because it represents all the different entities within your business. With regards to the analytical models, there may be multiple models for multiple different consumers. They don't have to have their own ones, but you can imagine, you know, sales, finance, risk may have different views or requirements with regards to what data they want to see. So, I mean, it's a very sort of familiar model with regards to if anyone's built in data warehousing before. You know, it's sort of acquisition and then curation and then obviously reporting on it. Now, I don't really have an opinion with regards to whether there should be multiple layers or not. I think one of the sort of big important factors with regards to medallion architecture is if you're in an enterprise organization, this is probably not going to be new for one thing. So you probably have established ways of working with your data anyway, and you know, based on that, you will understand what the benefits of this sort of separation would be. One of the things I wanted to cover, which is I think sort of probably the sort of more controversial side of things, is that it's really about the layering and what the layering gives you or what you lose if you don't have that layering. So what I'll do is I'll explain that and then try and sort of bring it to life. Okay, so just sort of going through an example and not making it overly complicated, but sort of hopefully keeping it realistic. So, you know, imagine you have your raw data coming in and it is web requests. So you have a big retail site or banking site or whatever, and you have your log files coming in. So lots of data coming in, raw format. You have sort of customer data as well to tie the web requests to the customer data. And let's say we have some web analytics as well. So essentially, the activity, some further activity, and be able to really sort of join up to customer data, and then customer data, so we're enriching that. So you've got those three sources. Now that will go into the model here, and you can imagine, you know, you're building up a picture of essentially website activity, and then whatever you want to report on, you know, related to your customers. So maybe demographic information or whatever. So that gets pumped out. So model. I won't draw up a specific model, but you can imagine, you know, you've got multiple web requests per customer, and sessions, etc. And then basically the actual, more on sort of the data mart side, you have, you know, the facts and dimensions. So, you know, this is maybe for marketing. And you can imagine it's sort of data in such a way that they can see, who's going to which pages, what sort of demographic is, loads of different sort of information you can imagine within the reports there. So you've got this layered approach here, and obviously the sort of benefits of abstraction are that if we buy a new if we buy a new analytics tool and we no longer need the web log files and we have a new web analytics tool coming up, and it's web analytics VT. So we remove that, have this one in. Now the benefit of this picture now and the way in which this is layered means that actually the change you're going to have is you're going to have to change the data going into the silver layer but not into the gold layer. So everyone relying on these reports, the data will still be there. Imagine maybe the same timing or fast time, whatever it is, but you've got a sort of single version of the truth here with then reporting on top of it, which means there's little disruption really to the consumers of that data. So that's a sort of typical benefit of abstraction. Now, if you imagine a scenario where there's a team that have, marketing have said, well, I don't want to wait for this, it's really important, I need the data right now. I need the data because we have some marketing campaign that's going to be in 2 months' time. So, let's say we've got marketing team 1 here, team 1, team 2, and team 3, all using that data. We've got marketing team 4, and they want to get some additional data. They want to see the data faster, perhaps. So what they do is they decide to actually just go to the data directly. Now, this is the reason why I'm sort of talking about this, is that it's actually sort of touted as a benefit of some of the sort of data platforms, which I think isn't right. So Team 4 goes to this data, and going back to the original example, they're using weblog files, so sort of solution A with the old analytics version, and obviously we sort of had A as the customer data. So then if we look at solution B, is your web analytics 2 and customer data. Now, a report is created based on solution A, and apart from the fact that you may end up with timing inconsistencies, which is one of those things that is incredibly distracting if you're ever trying to use the data. Team 4 might have data that's slightly ahead of the reports that T1, T2 and T3 are using. Apart from the fact that you have that risk in terms of timing, and that's really what I mean with that, is that you can imagine as it goes into silver and then it's published into gold, everyone's in step, so everyone has the same view of the data. It might be old data, but it's all at a point in time. Now, T4 don't have that link in terms of timing, so obviously that means that they get the data when they get the data. It hasn't gone through this process, and therefore it may be ahead of the data that the other marketing teams see. The other issue is that maybe the data comes in here, it's checked, and actually people realise that there's mistakes in it. Maybe it's corrupted. There's an issue with it. T4 will not actually know about that, and this report will not actually know about that either. So that's another sort of problem. The other issue as well is just that you have this situation where marketing team T4, and I'm just sort of saying marketing is a good example, it's not any sort of accusation against marketing, but they're generally users that will be very interested in data because it's good for informing campaigns with regards to any campaigns you're going to launch, or maybe campaigns that you launched and you want to see the effectiveness. So they will be using this data. If someone comes along and says, hey guys, would you like to have us build a new report? They're not really going to want to do that because it will cost them money, and they've already got something that works for them. With the caveat that sometimes the data might be a bit out of sync and also the data might be corrupt. But if you imagine a situation where they're happily using solution A, and we get this new analytics solution along. So we suddenly switch to B. Their solution won't actually be supported anymore. I mean, you wouldn't be wanting to get the old data in and be having old sort of legacy feeds coming in, because it just wouldn't make sense and it wouldn't be used here anymore. So they're then in a position where actually, as soon as B comes along, their report won't work anymore. And the issue with that is that would either hold up rollout of B, where this is identified and actually rectified or whatever, or alternatively it would just mean that they've then got a report that's broken, doesn't work anymore, and they then have to wait for this process to go through. And this is really where, to anyone that's sort of used to using abstraction, this is the reason for abstraction. You're trying to manage the impact of changes so that the business can continue running, and you just minimize the impact for the users. The challenge with this sort of touting flexibility and the fact that, don't worry, you can go directly to the raw data, that is one of those things where it's almost like act in haste, repent at leisure. The whole issue with this is that it may be great for people to have immediate sort of benefits from it, but the actual long side, the downside, is exactly what I've described, which is, the reports will not work anymore. You will have challenges with regards, or you could have challenges with regards to timing and consistency, which then brings doubts into, is this working properly, or is this working properly? And to be honest, with regards to the actual way in which this would happen, what you'd usually see is it wouldn't just be one report. As soon as people know that they can go directly to here, maybe get things nice and quick, quick and dirty, you'll have lots and lots of reports all getting the data from the raw data. And this shouldn't really be off of team 4, it'd be like team another, team N, team A, team B, and it will get very, very, very messy very quickly. And I think that it's just one of these things that if you're in a position where you're going to be having to take responsibility for what's happened here, I would just recommend, it's again that thing that I sort of said before, which is don't have principles, have standards, and enforce it so you have a layer of abstraction like this architecture would suggest, and don't allow these sort of breaks of standards. If you do have to, because the CEO is demanding to get a report now, you need to have prepared documentation and process so that you can record the fact that you've essentially got technical debt there. Because what you don't want is, you don't want to be forced into this sort of model where you seem to be saving the day, because don't worry, we can just go directly to the raw data, and then have the situation where it breaks because people will just forget that, and they'll say, well, you didn't make us aware enough, etc., etc. So that is my soapbox topic with regards to maintaining the layers of abstraction with regards to these sort of data platforms. So hopefully that's useful. If you like the video, please like and subscribe to see new videos, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.